Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Small Talk. The next video that I'm going to record is on the topic of nikah and encouraging young kids, youth for nikah. Recently, I came across few things within the family and among friends where parents are not getting their kids married, even though they have someone that they've decided to marry to, because they want them to marry someone in their family, go back to Pakistan, marry someone within, you know, in their family who's their cousin, who belongs to the same family or same caste system, which, by the way, in Islam, there's no caste system. We inherited this stupid quality from Hindus when we lived with them for so many years because they believe in caste. So it's so hard to talk to those parents. They have their kids who are 25, 30, 35 years old, and they're not letting them get married. If you don't let your kids get married and get them nikah-fied, what's going to happen? They're going to probably turn towards zina. Now, let me ask you a question. Remember your time when you were young. And then the other problem that I have with these parents, they are the one who made the choice to bring their children here in this country, or they came here when they were young and they gave birth to those kids in this country, like someone like me. I came here very young and my kids were born here. So it was my choice to raise them here, to make sure that they grow up in this country. And now if I tell them, oh, no, we're going to go back to our gaon and I'm going to get you married to one of your cousins who is 10 years younger than you are, but because he's from my caste system, so I'm going to have you marry them. My kids are not going to listen to me at all. They're going to hate me for this. They're going to hate Pakistan. They're probably going to hate Islam. And I have seen this problem in the family. And then if you talk to their parents, they say, oh, mera bacha, mujhe apne bachon pe itbar hai. Everybody has faith on their kids and everybody raises good kids and everybody tries to raise good children. But this is the biggest mistake that parents make when they say, mujhe apne bachon pe itbar hai. Sure, you should trust your kids, but always remember your bachas are human beings. They have nafs with them, they have shaitan with them, and they are at that age where they're independent. They're not going to come and get your permission to do anything that they want to do. They are on their own. And if you don't encourage them for nikah, they are going to lead towards zina, because Allah Ta'ala knows, and we know that Allah has created animal instincts among us. And there is a reason why He created the institution of marriage. If we deny that for our own baba, because if I let my child get married to somebody who's not from my caste, then it's going to make me look bad somehow, or my family is going to talk bad about me. It's not about you. It's about your children. It's about your iman. It's about your children's life. It's about you are creating hell for them. You're the cause of sending them to hellfire when they die, because you're not letting them marry to the person that they want to marry. You can put some limitations on it, obviously. Like, for example, I told my kids, whoever you choose as your spouse, make sure they're good practicing Muslims and they come from Muslim families. That's it. The most you can do is, if you're Pakistani, you can say, okay, they have to be good practicing Muslim and make sure they're from Pakistan. Or if you're Arab, you can say, make sure they're Arab. That's it. After that, they have to be from certain city. You can't be from Karachi, you can't be from Lahore, or he can't be from Islamabad, or he can't be from some gaon, or he has to belong to Pathan or Baloch or Arai, or whatever the caste that we have in Pakistan. That's very unreasonable demand on behalf of you from your children. Then I have other set of parents who say, oh, हमारे बेटे तो शादी नहीं करना चाहते. Okay, first of all, don't put this idea in their head. Encourage your kids for nikah, because it's good for them. It completes half of their iman. Let them get married, because marriage is important. You guys got married. If you needed a partner, if you needed a companion, if you needed a spouse, trust me, your children need a spouse and a companion as well. Even if they're saying, I'm not getting married, you say, no, you are getting married, because it completes half of your iman. I instilled this in my daughter when she was little. I say, it's a hadith of the Prophet, and when a person gets married, half of his iman is completed. So make sure you guys get married. My son, sometimes, he's still young, obviously, he says, I'm not getting married, it's gross. because then you have to kiss your wife on the lips. And I said, you don't have to kiss your wife on the lips, just marry her. And obviously he lives in a society where kissing on the lips is very common, and he can see it everywhere, so I think it just grosses him out. But my daughter, then she sits there and she tells him, no, you have to get married because it's a hadith of the Prophet, it's the sunnah of the Prophet, and it completes your iman. So you have to educate your children and you have to encourage them for nikah, because if you don't, then what are they going to do? Don't think they're going to be saint for the rest of their lives, because they are not going to be saints. They all have desires. They all have nafs attached to them. There's shaitan with them as well, just like he is with us. And just because, oh, mera bacha hai, mujhe apni tarbiyat pe bharosa hai, the biggest baloney ever that you can tell yourself, because that's not how nafs works, and that's not how human work. So they have desires, and they have found someone who you need to meet and see if they have good qualities as a Muslim. They come from good families, maybe good profession, because obviously when you're a mother of a daughter, you want your daughter to be comfortable, to live a comfortable life and to be happy. So just put limits and restrictions that make sense. Don't go above and beyond with the limits which don't make any sense, because if you were that conservative that you can't have your children marry outside of your caste, then you should not have raised them here. Then you should not have kept them here or brought them here or gave birth to them here. And if they were here, you should have taken them back home at a very young age, brainwash them like that, raise them with that mindset that, okay, this is your cousin, this is who you're going to marry when you grow up. They would have accepted it. But when these kids who live here, they know their rights. They know what is Islam and what is culture. When you try to mix culture with your faith, they deny it, they reject it, they refuse it. They're going to say, not happening, not in my lifetime, I'm not listening to you. Allah told me I can pick my own spouse. My Prophet told me I can pick my own spouse. Legally, I can pick my own spouse. I'm an adult. You are no one to tell me this. And maybe they won't get married, but they'll be doing everything else that you don't want them to do. So just be very careful. अपना ईमान भी खराब ना करें और अपने बच्चों की जो आखिरत है वो भी खराब ना करें. उनको निकाह के लिए इनकरेज करें और अपने बच्चों को अच्छा मुसलमान बनाएं, क्योंकि निकाह जो है वो ना सिर्फ सुन्नत है, बल्कि आप सब जानते हैं कि आपको बहुत सारी बुराइयों से निकाह जो है वो दूर रखता है. तो ये एक वीडियो है जो मैं क्विक वीडियो बनाना चाह रही थी फॉर दोज पाकिस्तानी फैमिलीज. मैं अपने कुछ friends, some family and friends, I have seen some issues where kids are just, they don't know what to do at this point because their parents are just not accepting the reality, and they're still living in that la la land where they think their kids are going to go back to Pakistan and marry some uncle, chacha, phupi, taya ka beta, beti, and that's just not going to work. And if you have not been encouraging your children for nikah, that's also a problem, because if they don't do nikah, they're not gonna stay like this, you know. They have desires with them. तो अपने बच्चों को निकाह पे encourage करें, sooner the better, and it's better for you and better for them in this world and in the hereafter. I hope this video helps. If you guys get offended by watching this video, I really don't care, because I am here to advocate my kids, my youth. I have seen children suffer so much. There are parents, Pakistani parents in particular, who have zero exposure. They don't go out and they don't see what's taking place in the society, what Muslim kids are going through. They just stay within the family, कुएं के मेंढक की तरह 3-4 families के बीच में चक्कर लगाते रहते हैं. That's the only culture they know. They don't even realize that there is a huge world that exists outside of their homes. Even इस मुल्क में रह के भी वो कुएं के मेंढक ही हैं. They don't change. तो ये वीडियो मैंने उन पेरेंट्स के लिए बनाई है. आप खुदारा अपने बच्चों पे रहम करें, उनकी आखिरत संवारें, अपनी आखिरत संवारें, because on the day of judgment, when you will be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will question you that why did you abandon their rights as a human being which I gave to them? Who were you to decide that instead of them getting married to a Muslim person, you are going to have them married to someone who belongs to your caste, whether he's good Muslim or not? This is not what I commanded you. And that's the problem here, because these kids who grew up here, they understand that. They're not going to take your culture over their faith if they're true Muslims. They're going to say, no, that's not what Allah said. That's not what Quran said. You cannot impose a spouse on me. Allah said in the Quran, and Prophet said, I have the right to accept or reject a person that I want to spend my life with. And there's nothing that you can do about it. And trust me, more and more you delay, Eventually, you're going to say yes to your kids because they're not going to listen to you. But by then, they probably have already committed enough sins which you are going to be held responsible on the day of judgment, and you will be questioned for because you're the reason why they did what they did not want to do. They got into those bad habits, they committed zina, they committed other things because you said, oh no no no, शादी नहीं करनी, अपनी अपनी जात में जाके शादी करनी है, हमारे दीन में तो जात है ही नहीं, ये तो हिंदुओं की रस्में हैं। और जिन हिंदुओं की रस्मों को आप अब तक फॉलो कर रहे हो, those Indians are so clever that they come here, they marry blacks, whites, Hispanics, you name it, they just liberated themselves from all those things. I mean, there's still some Hindus who obviously do follow it. I had a coworker. He was Indian. He was from the high caste. I think they're called Brahmin. He was Brahmin, and he had a girlfriend. So obviously he would go on a vacation for a week. Oh, my girlfriend and I are going to Florida for a week. तो obviously वो जब vacation पे जाते होंगे तो बैठ के गीता तो नहीं ना पढ़ते होंगे. You know, you're staying in the same room at the same hotel. You're living together. They probably do everything, but his parents won't approve him to get married to this girl because she doesn't come from Brahmin family. She's from the lower caste. And he was talking to me. He was very upset about it. And he said, my parents just won't let me marry her. And I really love this girl. But I'm trying to convince my parents, and hopefully one day I will be able to convince them. So this problem is not just with Pakistani families. Some Indian families have the same problem क्योंकि वो अछूत समझते हैं छोटी जात के लोगों को. I don't know if that's their religious thing or it's just man-made. I don't think any religion will teach this to people. This is probably just man-created dogma that just has been carried over for centuries. आई होप जो मुसलमान हैं, जो पाकिस्तानी हैं, वो इसको ख़त्म करें और अपने बच्चों को निकाह की तरगीब दें और उनको इनकरेज करें कि बेटा निकाह करना है, ये बहुत ज़रूरी है आपके ईमान के लिए और हमारे ईमान के लिए और हमारी आखिरत के लिए भी. आई होप दिस वीडियो हेल्प्स. Until next video, Allah Hafiz.